Hey, welcome back to another Black City Coffee vlog. Guess what we're doing today? Thank you to Average Joe Roasters for sending me some coffee to try. He had a very nice sweet message in the IG. We're going to be doing it a couple of ways. I think I'll try, since it's just one coffee that I'm cupping, I wanted to try different types of brewing. Now, because this is a little bit darker roast, so I like that. I love your not average packaging though, Average Joe. So you have Mexico. I thought it was going to say Chiapas as I was reading, and it says Cristal. Is it Cristal? I don't know. Flavor profile, smooth, sweet, creamy, single origin, whole bean, washed, 12 ounces, a little bit more on the darker side, roasted on the 10th. Awesome, wonderful. And a little story about Average Joe. I remember when I started roasting on the hot top, I really feel like I saw your name a lot when I was reading blogs and reading mostly, because there wasn't a lot of video documentation or guides or anything like that with the hot top. You guys know 2 years ago or even 3 years ago, it was really, really sparse to find any sort of how-to guide or step-by-step, which is why I started to create content, because I was already used to making content, so I was comfortable to come on camera and start talking about what I was doing, because I know that's a big hang-up for a lot of people who maybe want to get into making content, but they're maybe shy or a little bit like uneasy about being on camera. So I was already used to that, so I was like, in order for me to learn, I know that when I talk out loud about things, I learn better and I learn faster. So that's why I created like these really long documentaries or vlogs about the hot top, and then they did okay in terms of views and like engagement, and that started the whole like building of community. All the while I remember your name as a blog, a readable blog. Like, I didn't know what you looked like or anything like that, so I don't know if I got any hot top stuff, but I do remember your name popping up because of the whole like home roaster or starting a roasting business, in terms of a keyword in the SEO. So I feel like I remember your name a long time ago. So it's really cool to like circle back and see this, and I hope that's true. Did you start off with a blog? Do a couple of brews, the ode's broken. So this is the best grinder in the house right now. So we're going to, of course, when this grinder is fixed, well, I think I'll like to do another comparison. You gave me a lot. What is this, like? You said 12 ounces? Yeah. So you gave me a lot to work with. I'm going to do a couple of brews. I'm going to try espresso, and we're going to taste them all in this video. And again, we don't have our ode. It's out of commission. It's out of business. So we're just going to have to deal with it. You will get to see opening this bag for the first time. Okay. All right. Now we're going to evaluate this and try to be kind of like objective. I mean, Average Joe actually asked for advice. Don't ask me for advice. I'm just going to give you my take, and I won't be critiquing your roast at all. I will just be making observations, and that's it. I'm sharing them with you, okay? Because I really don't like the idea of idolization, or so-and-so told me this, so it's bad, or so-and-so told me this, and it's good. I don't like that. What I want people to do, and what I hope I'm inspiring people to do, is to test for themselves, try for themselves, get inspired, make their own notes, make their own observations, judge and cup and taste for themselves, and decide for themselves, is it good or bad? Okay? Because at the end of the day, it really just matters what you think about your roast or your coffee and the way that you do things, because you're the one that's got to sleep with you at the end of the night, all right? Not me. Let's take a look at the roast, just looking at it. Darker roast, yes. I would call this, I need glasses. Okay. The color's darker. However, I see that the face of the bean is still in the shape, I'd say, as a light plus. Does that make sense? So if we look at the shape or the swelling of the bean, is quite minimal. And I can tell that by the face of the bean. If the face of the bean is still kind of flat or convex even, the shape of the bean I classify more in the light roast, just as a visual. The color is definitely more on the darker side. So what does that tell me? Nothing yet, but that's just an observation, okay? Some of the beans are swelled. You can kind of see that in some of these rounder ones that are sort of puffed up like a little popcorn. I see no evidence of tipping or scorching, but you do see those little crevices that you maybe would see in like more of a light roast, but the color is on the darker end. Interesting. Interesting, okay? And I think it would be helpful to maybe compare this to, we have this yerg here, and there's a coffee bean stuck to my foot. Yeah, so just like this, very light roast, Ethiopia yerg, if I'm looking at the face of the beans, they too are similar to this. Now these are bigger. This is Mexico, and this is from Ethiopia, grown at a higher elevation. This one probably at a 1,500, I'm guessing, 1,400, 1,500 meters elevation. All right, observations, that's all they are. Okay, so now we're going to measure out. We're going to cup 12 grams. That's 13, 12.1. Okay, so I don't mind these falling everywhere because I'm the only one that's going to drink them. All right, now we put this in here. I'm pretty sure this is calibrated correctly. And see that when it's at a medium setting, easy, really easy. The roast is darker. They will be a lot more brittle than, say, a lighter roast. I would be curious to know what you roasted this on. Was it a drum roaster? Was it an air roaster? Fluid bed? People gave me some flack about the fluid bed. It's fine. Okay. That was pretty quick, right? Not bad. All right, so this goes in here. And now it's 12 exactly. And then we will give this a little sniffy sniff, as Gary Vee would say. It's roastier, it's definitely meatier, it's it's like meat. Really cooked down tomatoes, soy sauce elements, earthy in tone. The grinds look nice and uniform though, so I'm really loving this Normcore. This will be our first cupping actually with the Normcore, and let's see how it does. We're looking for clarity of flavors and being able to, so we've got our water ready, timer, and we get the water. I've been doing a lot of cupping lately. If you guys get cups, you should be sure to just get a lot of them because it just makes it easier to do stuff if you're going to do it on the daily, which you should. I think you should. Just because the more you do something, the more practiced you will be. Oh, I didn't even do this yet. Okay. Okay. Now we're only going to do one. In a professional setting, they do 5, right? If they're gonna buy a coffee, right? We're not trying to do that. We're just trying to taste it. We're just trying to enjoy it and share and, you know, be coffee nerds together with Average Joe today. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. The packaging is just really pretty, though. If I would review you on that. Great job. Really, really pretty. I really hope I'm talking about the same Average Joe. I feel like, oh, I could be mistaken though, so excuse me if I'm mistaken. Nice little dark roast, cool. Now, you can even tell here by the crust, you know, the color of the crust, what's going on there. I think I've said it before, but the darker roast will produce like a sort of like a cupcake, like a chocolate cupcake, fluffy looking thing. And in those, when you're cupping darker roasts, you'd be spilling that thing all over. And you know what? I haven't talked about it, but I'm definitely thinking about it and turning my wheels and thinking about doing something for the dark coffee lovers. There's a lot of you actually, and I'm sorry for not paying attention or not really giving you that much love in the menu, just because I don't like them. And I've really come around to the idea that, of course, I really believe coffee is for everybody. So I want to be able to definitely offer something for those that love dark roasts. I've really come a long way to the 2 years and the arrogance that I had brought in the beginning of this journey to being who I am now. And I really owe that to a lot of you guys and a lot of the mentors that I have had in coffee, and coffee itself humbling the hell out of you at the roaster or on the cupping table for that matter. And I'm really, really happy to be doing this and to be cupping your coffee. And I'm just really grateful, you know. This is so cool for you guys to go, hey, I want to send Meg coffee so she can cup it, and then, you know, we do this. It's really, really cool. It's really cool. And, you know, coming into making daily content, I got 40 seconds. I get kind of lazy sometimes, but because I agreed for me to do that, I've executed discipline, and I have not missed a day since that day we started in December, I think, right? I think we haven't missed a day. I've been really, really good, if anything, and it's really taught me how to practice and be more disciplined with things. And it's like that, starting a new habit, and you get to start another one. It starts this like domino effect, and I just hope that inspires one of you to do the same thing in your life, you know, whatever that may be. To just go and do what you've already been thinking about you should be doing. Because sometimes we need that reminder, huh? All right, we'll let this go. We'll break the crust. What do you think I'm going to say? Grape nuts. Graham cracker. I forgot my towel. If you forget your towel, just give a little tap. Okay. Yeah, so we can tell by the color, nice and dark. Now there's a tinge of lightness going on, which I like. That's exciting for me to see. I want to see, and as I'm learning and I get to taste different things, that's not always the case, but your visual is always, everything is always on and sort of playing off each other and creating some sort of bias. So if we know that coming into a cupping, we try to counter that by acknowledging what we see, acknowledging what we hear, what we smell and all that stuff, what we feel, all that stuff. And then we try to push it away and let it go, and then just focus on what's in front of us and not letting other things kind of interact with us. That's including like people talking to you, music playing, what you're gonna do, what you had to do, what you just did, right? So in a way, cupping is also a discipline in meditation, closing out the world to just focus on what's in front of you. I mean, I didn't really realize that until I got back into my yoga because of the whole surgery thing. And I'm doing the yoga again, and it's reminding me of that focus that needs to happen during yoga, during cupping, during a lot of things actually. The ability to discipline yourself to be focused despite the distractions, which is cool, I think. So it turns out, I want to give you an update on these like coffees that I tested from Forest. The one that I loved, coincidentally, is, the most expensive, even though it didn't say that on the price sheet. He's like, oops, it's actually the most expensive. And I was like, oh yeah, it is, huh? Yeah, I just can't, as much as I love it, if I had the money, I would, I could afford it. The person who I was last year, which was just YOLOing all the way around and doing whatever, probably would have bought it. Probably would have YOLO'd it and made a really unsound business decision. But I'm not doing that this year, right? We're executing discipline, focus. We are trying to get a facility. That's a kind of a big deal. I'm trying to be exercise restraint and trying to make smart decisions. I want to be here for a long time, and it starts with the things that I'm doing now, which is stuff like that, not just spending because it's fun, because spending is fun. Let's be real. Let's give this a shot here. We're at 5 minutes in. I'm going to let it cool a little bit more. It's still kind of hot, so I'm 5 minutes past breaking the crust. The immediate taste is the roastiness, big roast monster in the mouth, sort of nullifying any delicate flavors. Meanwhile, I think the fruit that's coming through is sort of like a muddled orange, like in an old fashioned. They muddle the orange, something like that, with a little bit of sugar. Definitely on the bitter side of that. That like an old fashioned has that bitter, like they put bitters. Okay, we're at 6 minutes in. It's rounding out a little bit more. The sweetness is coming through. The dark chocolate is coming through now. All right, cool. It's rounding out now. The sweetness is really coming through at 7 minutes. We're getting some purple orange fruit that I'm getting. So like I said before in a different video, I like to see flavor sometimes in colors, and it helps me sort of just kind of get a handle on what I'm tasting, and that helps me. Yeah, it's rounding out really nice now. We're almost into 8 minutes, which is typical of a coffee to exhibit its best flavors into the 8th minute, 9th minute, 10, 11, 12. Like right there, I feel like that's the time when people are actually also drinking their coffee a lot more. It's not as hot. It's not as masking the flavors, right? Because temperature masks flavor. And a nice sweet cup. Now the milk chocolate's coming. So it's not so much the bitter stuff anymore. That's kind of gone. It's still there on the finish, I'd say. A sort of dry finish. Leaves the mouth dry in a way. Not a bad thing. I'm thinking this is going to be really nice as an immersion sort of brew. So I would say AeroPress for sure. Now I'd have to adjust my grind to do that AeroPress. Probably go a little bit coarser because of that immersion type of brew. And so I wouldn't extract it too much where it would be kind of bitter in the cup. That would be my adjustment for the AeroPress. And then for espresso, I think we're going to get a really nice sweet cup. I'll have to try that tomorrow. We're drinking caffeinated coffee at, what is it, almost 6 o'clock in the evening. But it's just a couple sips, so hopefully I'll be okay. It's just 1 cup. It's okay. I'll just play Hitman all day long. How many of you are gamers? We're into 9 minutes now, right? Like I said, it's getting to that like golden zone of like where I feel it, and the cuppings that I've done, that's where coffees start to show their best. They start to show their best stuff. I just like to taste early just because I think I'm impatient. But I know I'm going to be like, okay, at 6 minutes, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that gives me time to like kind of formulate all my ideas, score it if I need to. But I'm trying to put down real scores if I'm scoring, or put down real like flavor anchors down on camera or whatever it is before like 15 minutes. And if I could do that, I feel like those parameters make me a better cupper because I'm not just sitting there taking my time. You have a limited amount of time where the coffee is showing its best, just like right now. So I suspect that as this cools, we're at 10 minutes, as this cools into like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, the bitterness is going to start to show back again and maybe feel a little too silty. That's what I think. Because I've done this with other coffees as well. That's my prediction. We're going to get there in about 4 minutes. And as it's cooling, it's actually getting a tad brighter too, along with that bitterness, which is good, is nice. Because if ever you have bitterness, as long as you have the other thing to counter it, and sometimes it's acidity, sometimes it's sweet, whatever. Sometimes it's good, right? Sometimes it's really good because it's all about balance. We're talking about, is it a balanced cup? We don't want, to me, I don't want an all bright acidic cup, no body, no sweet, right? I'd be like, oh, that tastes like tea. I want coffee, and I want really good coffee, which means I need balance and I need all that stuff. Now it's like that milk chocolate bar with just a little tinge of that, like some kind of fruit in there. Like a very, very, maybe like a subtle fruit. The fruit in acidity is soft, it's subtle, but it's kind of there. And how I could tell with that in a more physical sort of explanation is like, I don't feel any tinglings or on the sides of the tongue. That could be like a physical indicator for you for acidity. Not that I don't feel any, it's just very soft. So it's still there. Like I think, yeah, but definitely the finish is dry and more on the bitter end. More on the bitter end and more along the sides of, definitely no hints of like tobacco, which is nice. Sometimes the tobacco is really strong in some of those roasts that are very dark. As far as advice, Joe, like I have no advice to give you. Like a good job. I like it. It's drinkable. It's something that I think people, if you like white coffee, this is definitely cool. It's tasting well in the cup. I think it's sweet. And if that's what you were going for with the Mexico, I think generally if I have a dark roast that's sweet, I'm happy with that. You know, I'm not going to be like, oh, but I'm happy with that. In the espresso, which I think I would give it a shot tomorrow, I think will be generally, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be a sweet cup, but let's see. I think for brewing, AeroPress, immersion, and to make sure that grind is coarse enough to be suited for that kind of brewing method. We don't want it too fine because it'd be probably over extracted in that way. As pour over, maybe if you want it to be cleaner, and maybe brewing it pour over would give it a little bit of clarity. I'll give it a shot tomorrow morning for sure, because I do pour over every morning. So I'll keep updating you, and I'll put it on Instagram, I think. Yeah, we'll do pour over tomorrow, and then for our coffee break, we'll do espresso. And then that will be basically my assessment of Average Joe Mexico. I love it. Thank you. Thank you, Average Joe, for sending this to us. I hope you enjoyed my cupping here. I hope somebody learned something. Another update on the facility. So the search continues. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at learning who to talk to in terms of like permits and getting things confirmed and what kind of equipment should we have in there. Grease trap, no grease trap, things like that. And that made me feel really good, despite that little bump in the road of like, damn, this facility was kind of perfect, but you backed out. I don't know why. I need to explore that. Why? What happened? Did I say something? You know, that kind of thing. So I'm learning. And then I also think I'll share with you guys in the next video. I had a chat with that SBA. They help entrepreneurs and small businesses, and they help developing. And I had my chat with her, and it was very, very insightful. And I want to share that with you in next video. Okay? So good things. Thanks for hanging out. And I hope you enjoyed this. And thank you again, Average Joe. Very good.